There is a specific kind of silence that kills a marriage. It isn't the silence of an empty house or the quiet after an argument. It is the heavy, suffocating silence of a bedroom where two people are lying awake, inches apart, separated by a chasm of unspoken failure. For the better part of 3 years, I lived in that silence. I'm speaking to you now, not as a medical professional, but as a man who stood on the precipice of losing everything, my health, my dignity, and the woman I love, because I refused to understand the mechanics of my own body until it was almost too late. We are taught to ignore the warning signs. We are taught that slowing down is just a part of aging, that the loss of vitality is inevitable. But I am here to tell you that what we call aging is often just a polite word for rusting. And unlike a car, you cannot simply trade yourself in when the engine starts to seize. The decline didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, insidious theft. It started with the coldness. I remember waking up in the middle of July, the air conditioner barely running, yet my feet felt like blocks of ice. My hands were perpetually clammy, pale, and weak. I didn't know it then, but my body was making a desperate tactical decision. It was pulling blood flow away from my extremities to keep my core organs alive because the pipes, my arteries, were so clogged with plaque and sludge that there simply wasn't enough pressure to go around. I was a house with failing plumbing, where you can't run the shower and the sink at the same time. But the cold hands were just a nuisance. The real terror, the thing that hollowed me out from the inside, was the morning I woke up and realized the morning salute was gone. That automatic biological proof of virility that had been with me since I was 13 years old had simply vanished. At first, you make jokes, you blame stress, you blame work, but when weeks turn into months and months turn into a year, the jokes stop. You stop initiating intimacy because the fear of failure is heavier than the desire for connection. I remember catching my wife looking at me across the dinner table. It wasn't anger in her eyes, it was pity. That killed me more than anger ever could. I felt invisible, castrated, not by a blade, but by my own biology. I felt like a rusted machine sitting in the weeds, waiting for the final component to fail. And deep down, I knew it wasn't just about sex. It was the brain fog that made it hard to finish sentences. It was the exhaustion that hit me at 2:30 p.m., making me want to nap in my car. My entire system was starved of oxygen. I was a walking heart attack, and I was too proud to admit I was terrified. Eventually, the fear outweighed the pride. I did what millions of men do. I went to the doctor. I sat in that sterile, freezing cold office, wearing a paper gown, trying to explain to a man 20 years younger than me that I felt like a ghost in my own body. He didn't even look up from his tablet. He checked my blood pressure, which was high, and he scribbled a prescription. He handed me the slip for the infamous blue pill. He treated the symptom, not the man. He sent me home with a chemical override switch. I remember the first night I took it. I wanted to feel like a man again. Instead, I felt like I was dying. Within 30 minutes, my face was flushed a violent red. A headache throbbed behind my eyes like a sledgehammer. My heart was racing, pounding against my ribs so hard I could see my shirt moving. It worked, technically, but it felt mechanical, forced, and terrifying. I realized later the absolute insanity of what I was doing. Using those synthetic chemicals is like taking a car with a clogged exhaust, rusted fuel lines, and thick, sludge-like oil, and stomping a brick onto the accelerator. You are forcing high-pressure blood through arteries that are stiff, calcified, and narrowed by plaque. I wasn't fixing the plumbing, I was redlining a failing engine. I lay there in the dark, my heart skipping beats, realizing that this wasn't a cure, it was a gamble. I was risking a stroke just to pretend I was 20 again for an hour. I realized that if I didn't clear the rust, if I didn't dissolve the plaque that was choking my system, I wasn't just going to be impotent, I was going to be dead. That night was the turning point. I flushed the pills. I decided that I would rather be celibate than dead, but I wasn't ready to give up. I became obsessed. I needed to know why my blood wasn't flowing. I needed to understand the physics of my own vessels. It was during this desperate late-night research, digging through medical journals and cardiology archives, that I stumbled upon the work of Dr. Richard Coleman. He wasn't talking about performance in the cheap sense. He was talking about vascular integrity. He was talking about the fluid dynamics of the male body. If you are exhausted by dangerous temporary fixes and want to understand the real mechanics of saving your own body, I've left a guide in the first link of the description, the Vascular Pressure Blueprint. How mature men are flushing out arterial plaque to restore full, rigid blood flow naturally. Dr. Coleman's approach changed everything because he stopped treating me like a broken psychological case and started treating me like a hydraulic problem. He explained the role of the endothelium. This is the inner lining of your blood vessels. When we are young, the endothelium is like a pristine, non-stick Teflon coating. It's smooth, and it produces a gas called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the signal that tells your arteries to relax, open up, and let the blood roar through. It is the molecule of life. But Dr. Coleman explained that after 50, due to diet, stress, and environmental toxins, our endothelium gets damaged. It stops being Teflon and turns into Velcro. It gets scratchy and sticky. When the lining is sticky, cholesterol and calcium get caught. They build up. This is plaque. As the plaque builds, the vessel narrows. The endothelium gets buried under this sludge and stops producing nitric oxide. The pipes get stiff. The blood flow slows to a trickle. This is why my hands were cold. This is why my brain was foggy. And this is why my reproductive system had shut down. It is the canary in the coal mine. It is the first thing the body cuts off when circulation is compromised. Dr. Coleman looked me in the eye, metaphorically speaking through his research, and told me that the blue pill was trying to force blood through a straw, when what I needed to do was turn that straw back into a garden hose. The breakthrough came when Dr. Coleman introduced the concept of a specific nutrient stack, a biological solvent designed to scrub the pipes. He wasn't talking about generic multivitamins. He was identifying a precise combination of compounds that, when taken in the right ratios, bypass the destructive acids of the stomach and liver to trigger a massive sustained explosion of nitric oxide directly in the bloodstream. The key was a potent, concentrated form of dietary nitrates and specific amino acids that act as precursors to nitric oxide, but delivered in a way that the aging body could actually absorb. He explained it like this: you can't just paint over rust. You have to strip it. This specific supplement stack acts as a scourer. It feeds the endothelium exactly what it needs to repair itself. As the nitric oxide levels rise, the blood vessels physically expand, a process called vasodilation, but it does more than that. The increased flow, moving smoothly rather than turbulently, begins to erode the soft plaque deposits. It conditions the arteries, returning their elasticity. I was skeptical. I had tried generic arginine supplements from the grocery store with zero results. Dr. Coleman explained that those generic versions are destroyed by digestion before they ever reach the bloodstream. The secret was in the bioavailability and the specific synergy of the ingredients he recommended. A high-potency red flow nutrient profile found in very specific cultivars of beetroot and red spinach, combined with citrulline in a clinical dose. I started the protocol. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't want to get her hopes up again. I just took the supplement every morning with a tall glass of water. For the first week, I felt nothing. I almost quit, but Dr. Coleman had warned me, "You didn't clog your arteries in a week. You won't clear them in a week." So I kept going. Day 10 was when the first shift happened. It wasn't sexual, it was cognitive. I was sitting at my desk and I realized I had been working for 4 hours straight without brain fog. My thoughts were sharp, crystalline. I looked down at my hands. They were pink. I touched my face. It was warm. The circulation was reaching the periphery. The coldness that had haunted me for 2 years was thawing. I felt a hum of energy, a physical vibration of life that I hadn't felt since my 30s. The engine was starting to turn over. The real miracle happened on day 17. I woke up before my alarm. The room was dark, and there it was. Not a flicker, not a maybe. A full, undeniable, rigid morning salute. It was painful in the best possible way. The pressure was intense, demanding, and alive. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, tears actually stinging my eyes. It wasn't just about the erection, it was the realization that I wasn't broken. My heart wasn't failing, my pipes were clearing, the nitric oxide production had restarted, the factory was back online. I didn't say a word, I just turned to my wife. She stirred, waking up slowly. When she realized what was happening, her eyes went wide. The pity was gone. The confusion was gone. It was replaced by shock, and then a genuine flushed desire that we hadn't shared in years. It wasn't the frantic, chemical, heart attack-induced panic of the blue pill. It was natural, it was calm, it was me. We reconnected that morning with a passion that felt like we were rewriting our entire history. Afterward, lying in the quiet, which was no longer a heavy, sad silence, but a peaceful, satisfied one, she rested her head on my chest and said, "I missed you." She didn't mean she missed my body. She missed me, the man who had energy, the man who was present. Since then, the transformation has been total. My blood pressure has normalized. I have the energy to hike on weekends. The brain fog is a memory. And the intimacy in my marriage is stronger than it was when we were newlyweds, because now we appreciate it. I saved my life by refusing to accept the rust narrative. I stopped trying to force the machine and started fixing the components. There are thousands of men out there right now, sitting in their cars, staring at the steering wheel, terrified of going inside because they feel like failures. They are wearing sweaters in the summer because their blood isn't flowing. They are taking dangerous pills that mask the problem while their arteries continue to harden. If that is you, I'm telling you, stop. Stop poisoning yourself. Stop accepting the decline. Your body wants to heal. Your endothelium is waiting for the raw materials to repair itself. The plaque is not permanent concrete. It is sludge that can be flushed if you generate the right pressure and use the right solvent. You have the right to fix the root cause and reclaim your dignity. For those ready to skip the trial and error, the exact step-by-step method is in the first link of the description. The Vascular Pressure Blueprint: how mature men are flushing out arterial plaque to restore full, rigid blood flow naturally. This isn't about vanity, it is about vitality. It is about being the man your family needs you to be, strong, present, and alive. Do not let the rust win. Take control of your biology. We are building a community of men here who are refusing to go quietly into the decline. We are sharing the truth about men's health that the mainstream medical complex is too busy writing prescriptions to teach you. If you found value in my story, if you saw a reflection of your own struggle in my words, please subscribe to the channel. We are going deeper into the mechanics of longevity, testosterone, and vascular health in the coming videos. You are not done yet. Your best years can still be ahead of you, but you have to clear the path to get there. I'll see you in the next video. Stay vital.